Blog Talk Radio.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, across this great nation. I know it's coronavirus, but if the big Lord has anything to do with it, like I know he is, he will take us through this. This shall pass. And I'll tell you, this is past tonight. This is the debut of the American sports history with my good friend Peter Ray out of Cleveland, Ohio. 347-205-9631 is the call in. I'm Mark Mancini producing, helping co-host it. But without further ado, let me give him the mic. Let me give him the podium. Let me give him the red carpet. Peter, my friend, how are you doing?
Oh, hi, Mark. I'm fine, and I'm really happy to be making this, doing this podcast tonight. Really, really happy about it. I'm doing well.
You know, how could people get a hold? Yeah, how could people get a hold of you?
My email address is pistolpeteray@yahoo.com. My last name is R-E-A. The website is Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray, R-E-A. YouTube channel, Peter J. Ray.
Wow, I love it, man. A lot of things to talk about. Why don't you lay the topic down? The phone lines are lighting up. We got a caller out of Atlanta, another one out of New York. We'll bring them here momentarily as it gets lit up. It's a 30-minute show, so if you blink an eye, we can lose some time. This thing will go on blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports if you don't catch it live. If you're listening in your car in Cleveland, I don't know if it's a lockdown there, or if you're at home, tune in to the 347-205-9631. It's on Stitcher, iTunes, all the Apple products, so you won't want to miss this a great show. American Sports History with Peter Ray. Peter, what's your topic tonight that you want to get to, and then we'll open it up to some callers.
Well, I wanted to talk about, I'm a Cleveland sports fan since 1973, and I got into, really American sports history because I find it's very interesting and satisfying as a sports fan because in Cleveland, people often, as fans, people often have short memories, and the odds on your team winning every year are pretty bad because it's like 30-1. But if you study the history, you can find championships from the teams, from your team or your city that may have been forgotten, and you can have satisfaction from that. And it's just, I think, if you're a fan, I find it kind of boring just following today's game because it's tedious. But if you study the whole history of sports, going back to, I just find it so fascinating, the 19th century, from the beginning of baseball and football going way back long before the Super Bowl, and basketball in the 1920s. So I just think it's a lot of fun too. And today it's a wonderful time because there's been so many books that have been written, and in, of course, recent decades, plenty of videos have been made as well, so you can watch videos in recent years. So it's just a lot of fun. I think it's a fun topic to get into if you're a sports fan in the first place.
Well, let's take the first caller out of Atlanta. It looks like it's Todd. Todd, how are you?
Great, Mark. How about yourself?
Great. You got a question for Pete?
You're an Indians fan, so wow, just a lot of almost in baseball recently. I mean, 95, the one that Atlanta fans would remember the most, obviously. Then, of course, you had a couple of years ago against the Cubs, and then the Council base hit when Leland was managing Florida. So, Cleveland's had a lot of almost until LeBron James came through not too long ago. The last championship was a long time ago.
Well, it's you're right, and this is why sports history I think is helpful because going back to 1895, the Cleveland Spiders actually won the pro baseball title with Cy Young Award winner. Cy Young Award is named after him. And then going back, actually the first pro basketball dynasty was in Cleveland. Cleveland Rosenblums, 1926, 1929, 1930 won the ABL title. And then the Browns, the Browns haven't played in the Super Bowl, but they've won 7 titles, pro football titles, going back to 1946 and the old AAFC, and actually back to 1924, the early years of the NFL, the Cleveland Bulldogs, 45 Cleveland Rams before they moved to L.A., And actually, the Cleveland Browns, their first 10 years in existence, first 4 years in the AAFC, won the title every year. From 46 to 49, from their first 6 years in the NFL, every year they played in the title game. So, but yeah, you're from Atlanta, Todd. That's 1995 was a tremendous. We had our time together fighting for the championship. So you guys, good job for you guys winning that. And it was tough because you guys lost a couple World Series in the early 90s, so it's good that you won that year.
Well, you got to figure they lost it in 91 to Minnesota in a seventh game classic where John Sherholtz, the GM at the time, who's still up in the Braves organization today, way up in the executive section there for the club. At the time he said that the Twins were the outdoor champions of baseball, or the Twins were the outdoor champions of baseball, excuse me, I apologize. The Atlanta Braves were the outdoor champions of baseball, and the Minnesota Twins were the indoor champions of baseball, which is kind of interesting. Nobody really cares, but Atlanta fans remember that.
Yeah, and I think when the Braves won in '95, I think it was John Smoltz who said that that he felt like the Braves hadn't gotten enough credit for winning the National League title. That it's like he was saying like that you're either you win it at all or you're a big loser for winning the World Series. And the league champions deserve respect. That's a major achievement. And I have to give you guys credit. I was rooting for the Falcons in the Super Bowl. That was really tough. Really, really tough what you guys went through a few years ago. But again, give the guys credit. Give you guys credit for. We can't just say, oh, if you win it all, you're a winner, and if you don't, you're a loser, because it takes a lot to get to the final game.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, it does, and the Braves were highly successful. They won 14 consecutive division titles in a row, and maybe it wouldn't have been 14, maybe it would have in '94. They were 6 games back when the famous strike happened there in August, 6 games behind the Montreal Expos led by Felipe Alou and Moises Alou. So, who knows what would have happened. Of course, the Braves were up 2-0. They pounded the Yankees in the '96 series. They were up 2-0, and then they proceeded to lose the final 3 games played in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And then they lost Game 6, which started Derek Jeter and the Yankees' big run. And then the Braves lost in '97 to the Marlins when the Marlins were getting a lot of pitches called off the plate, which I found ironic because the Braves were pretty famous for that in the '90s. And then, '98, the Yankees took the Padres, and then '99, the Braves got swept by the Yankees. And so, when you look at the '90s for the Braves, they were in 5 World Series, and they won one of them. History looks down upon them, but like I said, they won 14 titles in a row. That's quite an achievement. You look at today's Dodgers. They've won 7 division they've won 7 division titles, a couple of NL pennants, and they've lost twice in the World Series. So they're working on the Braves record. They got about 7 more years to go, and if they get one title in there, they'll be even with them.
Yeah, they deserve respect for all of that because it takes a lot to win all those division titles. And have the Hawks made it to the NBA Finals?
The Atlanta Hawks have not.
Right.
The St. Louis Hawks, I believe, did win an NBA title back in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. It's interesting you mentioned the
I don't want to cut you out. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry? We are getting racked with phone calls on this thing. I'm just trying to get everybody through.
Well,
hey,
Todd, thanks for calling. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Yeah, he does a big show out of Atlanta. You want to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you in Atlanta with your great team, and boy, you get announcers on there and everything. You guys do a great job with Stephanie and JJ.
Yes, well, you can. The show is mainly on Wednesdays from 8 to about 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ATL Prime Sports. You can call us at 678-280-7123, 678-280-7123. You can listen in on Twitter You can also catch it on Facebook. You can catch it online, www.primetimewiththestablesnetwork.com. I do run a show now until the pandemic is over on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There is no callers, but you can catch the show at the same location I stated on Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 4:30. It's all times Eastern.
Love you, brother. Thank you very much. Todd out of Atlanta, one of our great affiliates. And we'll go to Lou in New York. And then basically we've got in the realm Cabby out of San Francisco. We've got the Hefman out of the Bakersfield, I believe. So hold on tight to you. We'll bring in Lou from New York. Lou, you're on the debut show with Peter Ray. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Mark. By the way, it's New Jersey, not New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, well, everybody gets that messed up anyway. Well, sir, it looks like you've had a long history following with the sports. Of course, I'm a longtime Yankee fan, and of course, I do remember a lot of those years. But of course, I also remember the lean years back in the 1980s when, their pitching and their hitting wasn't so hot.
The Yankees.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of places, not just Cleveland, the people are Yankee haters. They hate the Yankees. Even in Cleveland, back in the 70s, they gave away "I hate the Yankees" handkerchiefs. And the thing is, if you love baseball and love baseball history, you might hate the Yankees now, but you have to love the historical Yankees, because I've read a million books on, going back to Babe Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, and back in the 70s.
I once had a book, I think I still have it, by a former Yankee, I think it was a catcher, Greg Nettles. I don't know if you remember that one. Yes,
played third base, tremendous player.
Yes, I know.
In fact, when the Yanks won in 76, 77, 78, they had Nettles at third, Chris Chambliss at first, and they were former Cleveland Indians, so that was tough, especially when Chambliss put the Yanks in the World Series with a home run in the ALCS.
I remember that. I was 6 years old, and I remember it to this day. I'm like, oh my goodness. But remember, they lost to the Reds that year. Yeah.
So they got swept by but then they won the next two, and Reggie Jackson and Catfish came from the A's.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Yankees have a tremendous history, wonderful history, and it's really, like I said, it's if you love baseball,
Lou,
you might.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Where can everybody get a hold of you? I know this show is flying. We got Cabby in the realm. We got Hefman in the realm. We love your show. Tell everybody where it's listed. I know you have a big show out of New York and New Jersey. You're taking a couple cities, so. With Peter out there in Cleveland, that's a great barometer too.
Right. We have two shows. One is called Rockin' Along the Sports. That's on Monday nights at 7 with myself, a few other ones. Alan Wu out of Brooklyn, and Betty Cantley, who is from Cleveland, does a dynamite job. She got me starting this whole thing in the first place 4 years ago. And I do a Saturday show with a bunch of people called the Enhanced Sports Show. That's 5 to 7 Eastern Time. And I do take calls at that number. It's 512-543-4662. You can also find me on Facebook and at Gmail at lutenor45@gmail.com. Capitalize the G, please. One question before I go. Why hasn't the NHL worked in Cleveland? I mean, you have all the other sports. You got baseball, you got football, probably soccer too somewhere. Why hasn't hockey worked in the NHL in Cleveland?
Well, that's a great question, because back in the 40s and 50s, Cleveland won a lot of titles in the old AHL, and back then there were two hockey leagues that were the AHL and the NHL were sort of on par with each other, and Cleveland did very well. And then the time came, they actually had an offer to enter the NHL way back, and then they didn't, and then things changed, and the NHL became, the top league, and the AHL now is very minor league. And I don't know if Cleveland can support two winter teams or not, because I don't think there's enough money here. Well, there's some talk, you hear some talk now and then about having NHL coming. I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I think it would too. I mean, at least you have all the major sports then, because I always feel that there's one missing. And of course in several other cities that's that way too, especially in some of the big cities.
Yeah, competing. It's tough competing with New York. I mean, it's like a 20-to-1 money ratio.
Hey, Lou, thank you very much for the call. We're going to listen to that. We're so blessed for calling in, supporting Peter Ray today. And thank you very much. And Cabby out of San Francisco. Cabby, you're on with Peter Ray, the debut, American Sports History. And in the realm behind you will be the Hep Man out of Bakersfield. Cabby, what's on your mind, my good friend?
Not much. Kicking back here in our little, martial law town of San Francisco. I had a good buddy, Cleveland's a friend in San Diego for years, and I really love Cleveland. I was a cab driver down there, and I got to definitely go with one of my favorite times was I was a Giants fan, and so Bob Lurie got into my cab, and after the first ride, anytime the Giants played the Padres, I ended up driving Bob Lurie from the stadium to the hotel, and his general manager was Al Rosen, who's probably one of the greatest hitters of all time, and very high average. I'm not sure he was on that last Cleveland Indians team. Was it 48 they last won their World Series?
Well, he was on the 54 team that lost. They got swept by the New York Giants.
But they won 48, right?
They did.
48? Right.
Yeah,
he wasn't on that team.
I don't think he was. I have to look it up.
I never brought it up, because me and him just drilled each other from baseball stuff, and he loved it. Lurie, obviously, if he's calling me back every time, he must have loved it. And I'm going to go with this. I'm going to give Cleveland this championship in the NHL because it was kind of a mix. They squished the team together. But the old San Francisco Golden Seals, they kind of migrated from Colorado. They were the Rockies for a few years. And when they were the Rockies, they actually say historically that's where the wave was invented. But then they went to the Cleveland Barons. I followed the Cleveland Barons because they were the Sharks minor league team here for San Jose. But they kind of transformed into the New Jersey Devils. And the last time I checked, I think Devils, Lou should know this, about 3 championships, Stanley Cups there, and very impressive, and that was a Cleveland team, that basically sent the jersey for, punishment or whatever you do.
One of my favorite moments is 64 World Series in history. I was only 4, but in history, when Willie McCovey hit the line drive at Gil McDougall at second, and it was immortalized in a Peanuts comic strip where Charlie Brown said, "Oh, if McCovey could only hit the ball 3 feet to one side or the other," and
oh my God.
And they would have won the title.
Well, so you know what? We did a show on when McCovey died. He died not this year, but the year before at Halloween, and that was probably my favorite show of all time. We were doing it with Mark and stuff, and one game with San Diego, he's a Padre, and he hits this ball that, I'm not kidding, didn't raise, did not go up off the ground, did not rise, elevate, and it was basically an actual rope to the right field wall. Even the other team, nobody ran. The right fielder is like looking at this thing, missiled by, like he doesn't want anything to do with it, and it bounces off the wall right back to the right fielder for which would have been a home run, but it was a single. And
Willie McCovey.
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, I want to go history because you're a history show. Oh, real quick on this history question. Oh, go ahead. Well, I want to ask you about the start of baseball. We brought in Atlanta. This is the Civil War, and there's going to be a show on history. I got this thing. I just heard about this year about all these during the Civil War, there was truces. They had these truces. Obviously you have all these men out there fighting, and they're engaged in battle. And they said they'd have these long truces, and that's where baseball became integrated. So like instead of just sitting there honoring the no shooting truce, they would have a baseball game against each other, and it just got so intense and such buildup that after the war, all these guys that fought north and south took baseball back to their hometowns. And that's kind of like the spread of the baseball virus or whatever you want to call it. And I think that's kind of fascinating that it would be developed out of a horrible situation like a civil war. But it's kind of a fascinating, silver lining from something like that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It's interesting. These guys, they came from all over, and then they fought all over, and they picked up. They had a lot of time in these camps between battles, and they played baseball, and they learned it, and they took it home. So, and I think you're right in that.
Each other, right? I mean, you know what I mean? And then, okay, so shooting, I'm going to play game again. And the other one I want to give is, the group. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And we're down about 9 minutes.
Left-handed Alcatraz on.
Hey, let's talk about your show real quick. How can people get a hold of it? It's a unique show.
Left Turn at Alcatraz. We talk everything. We're San Francisco. We're proud of it. Very integrated in sports. Sportscabbie.com gets me on my email. That's one word. And our show, man. Mancini Stables, man. Look it up, people. It's worth hearing. Go Cleveland.
Well, we're blessed. We are so blessed. Thank you very much, Cabby, for supporting Peter today on his debut. We will go to the Chef Man. And Chef, you got an interesting show on Mondays. First of all, why don't you tell everybody how you could be reached on Monday, and then send any questions for Peter with about 8 minutes left in the show.
Hey, Mark. Markman Madness with you and Java Joe. That's quite a show, and kind of a triple hitter with us three guys. And yesterday we talked quite a bit of the effect of the coronavirus pandemic, not only on the sports world, but on society as a whole. I couldn't talk about the Lakers or some other teams, but that's okay. But people can email me at markheff20@gmail.com. That's markheff20@gmail.com.
And your question, you have a question?
Peter, I have a question for Peter. Peter, which Cleveland Browns football team do you think was the greatest ever?
Well, if you look at the first 10 years, from 46 to 55, they played in every title game. I don't know. I can't answer that. They had it's hard to say, but I know they won in the old All-American Football Conference from 46 to 49. The league folded because Cleveland dominated the league. Then their first year, they won in Otto Graham was the quarterback for he played 10 years, and every year he won. He played in the championship game, won 7 out of 10.
Wow,
I can't,
great.
And that's and he's pretty much forgotten today. Marion Motley's kind of also forgot. Tremendous running back, long before those early years. So, and Paul Brown, the coach. So, I can't really tell you the best. I can't give you an answer.
Who would be your two best running backs of all time in Cleveland Browns history?
Probably Jim Brown and Marion Motley.
Okay, that's cool. They had great teams in the past. Do you think that Cleveland will ever be a top-notch playoff contender in the NFL?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. You never know. Hope springs eternal when you're a fan. You never know. That's the life of a sports fan. Things can turn around. They certainly have had trouble, but wait and see. I'm certainly not an expert, but I'm always optimistic. Every year I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet, but I think it's good to be positive.
I think a lot of people like to see Cleveland be a playoff contender. Many people that are not fans of the team, just like myself. I like to see the Browns in the playoffs and make some noise.
Yeah, it would be nice to get in the playoffs, see if we can go all the way. And I personally, I'm rooting for Buffalo. Losing those four Super Bowls in a row, that was real tough. I'd love to see Buffalo to win a Super Bowl. And Detroit hasn't won a title since '57. I'm glad that Philadelphia won for the first time in many years. So, anyway,
Cleveland have had some great teams in recent years. It's been tough to win a title, but they've had some outstanding teams with great pitching and a good manager. It'd be kind of nice to
Terry
see
Francona.
It'd be nice for them to hold the trophy soon.
Well, when the Cubs won in '16, they ended a 108-year title drought, so there was a silver lining there, and because our title drought was 40 years less, but hope springs eternal for the sports fan.
Hey, Peter, just don't steal any signs. No signs. Don't steal any signs. We're the indicator.
Okay. Well, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
No problem, Peter.
Okay, take care.
Thank you very much to Chef Man. And I'll tell you, the callers came in supporting you from Atlanta, from New Jersey, from San Francisco, from Bakersfield. We're down to about 4 minutes. Any thoughts of the debut of your wonderful show? It'll be on next Tuesday also. 7 to 7:30 in the East, 4 to 4:30 in the West as we start to gear this thing up to an hour. Any thoughts as we wind this great show down, Peter?
Well, I think that, like I said, this coronavirus. There's no sports, so there's so much to talk about in sports history. There's just so much, and today there's so many amazing books that have been written, and so it's like I said, I think I find I support Cleveland teams. I'm interested in sports, but I find the current, nothing much happens on a daily basis now, but the past is just full of so many championship teams and so many memorable guys, incredible guys in the various sports. And today, if you get into it, it's just so much fun. All these books that have been written of biographies of individuals, of years, MLB year for 1 year. And, they've been showing these old, and it's fun, especially when going back to when we were kids and reliving that stuff. And also before, it's fun, the stuff from our fathers and grandfathers, and it's just a really fun topic. And I've gotten into it years ago, and I'm glad that we're doing the show.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I saw Major League Baseball's taking each team's highlights. I was watching, I didn't see the Indians one, what the highlights were there, but the Pirates, with about 3 minutes and some change left in this great show. You're listening to American Sports History with Peter Ray. Mark Mancini here, help co-host. Thanks for all the great callers out of Atlanta with Todd, and New Jersey with Lou, San Francisco with Cabby, and Mark Hefferman out of Bakersfield. I was looking at the one with the Pirates. They had about 4 of them up there, and the one I was looking at was Kurt Gowdy, Tony Kubek, doing the 71 World Series with the Pirates and Orioles. And then if you didn't want to see that highlight, you had Garrett Cole when he made his debut, outdueling Tim Lincecum of the Giants. And if you didn't want to see that one, then the one recently of the Pirates coming back and beating Rich Hill to break up his no-hitter in the 9th inning. So I'm sure if you look on there's some great ones with the Indians, too, and some of them memorable ones.
Yeah, it's cool because the 70s is when I was a kid, and you have the 71, the beginning, and 79, the Pirates won the World Series like at the beginning and end of the decade, and then you had the A's in the early years, and then the Reds, and then the Yankees, and then on both ends, the two bookends were the Pirates, and I think Stargell was on both of those teams.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we got less than about 2 minutes. If you had to say the best hitting baseball team from the 70s on, who would it be? And I'll throw you Mike right out of the bat.
Best team since the 70s overall? I guess the Yankees. I mean, offhand, the Yankees have won 5 titles, or no, twice in the 70s, and then they won those 4, and then a 4, 6, 7. So that's a lot. I think that's the most. San Francisco Giants have got some of these new teams coming in. The Giants won 3, and then the Red Sox won 3 titles.
Yeah.
So but the Yankees seem to be, they seem to be. I mean, they have the money, and I guess they're managed well enough to do well.
Right. Yankees were the powerhouse there. The Reds, boy, they had a lineup of hitters in the 76, the big red machine. And, Peter, how can people get a hold of you as we wind down this great show, and we'll resume next Tuesday, same time? Yeah,
my email is Pistol Pete, like Pistol Pete Maravich, REA@yahoo.com, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray. I've made more than 600 history videos. In fact, I made 171 Cleveland baseball videos for every year in Cleveland baseball history from 1869 to 2019, including the 20 Negro League seasons. So Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray is the website, the YouTube channel, Peter J. Ray, REA.
He is Peter Ray. He made his debut today. I'm Mark Mancini. Thanks for listening to this great show, blogtalkradio.com/Mancini Sports. Listen on Stitcher, iTunes, all the Apple products. we will resume next Tuesday and turn into all the other shows that are part of this full big network, Primetime with the Stables. God bless and have a wonderful night. As for Peter Ray, I'm Mark Mancini. Thank you very much for tuning in.